Greg, you know, I look at everything that's going on, and the fact is the president has a huge resonance here, not only with his core, but with a lot of America that sees empty storefronts.
Well, I'd say two things, Tom. Number one, I think that the candle industry was devastated when we invented electricity and the light bulb. I mean, this happens in a dynamic economy. The candle industry never recovered. Number two, you have to say, this is now the headline risk president. Everywhere you look, Amazon, trade with NAFTA countries, trade with China, everywhere you look, I think we're now entering a period of headline risk.
Well, but Greg, are there any policy implications in President Trump's tweets?
Yes, I do. I do think there is a risk that we don't negotiate successfully on the big story with China, not steel, the $60 billion worth of U.S. tariffs. If there's no deal there on the Chinese thievery of our intellectual property, then I do think a trade war starts to become a big concern for the markets.
So, Greg, you have to kind of read into what we hear out of President Trump. Who is he trying to cater to, and what's the response like from his constituents?
He's catering to the Roseanne territory. He's catering to Bethlehem, PA, to Youngstown, Ohio. That's his base. And when they hear him talk aggressively about NAFTA, about Amazon, it's music to their ears.
So, Greg, going forward, what do you have to see to determine whether these are realistic threats or whether this is noise ahead of the midterms?
The main thing I would be looking for is any sign of some capitulation by the Chinese on auto tariffs, on intellectual property. They've got to make some concessions or this thing gets worse.
You know, Greg, one final question here. I want to come back and broaden it out to Greater Washington as well. To Lisa's point about a president who's basically watching Fox and Friends and moving out, moving out whatever he sees on there. Can he sustain that into the first Tuesday of November? Can he message off of one television show and one cultural moment, or does he have the ability to broaden out?
It's bizarre, isn't it, Tom? I mean, he listened to something on Fox yesterday, Easter Sunday morning. He starts ranting about immigrants. He saw something on Fox. He's been hinting he might not even need a chief of staff. So, yes, to answer your question, he can continue this through Election Day. It's going to be bizarre. And again, I think the big risk for investors is the headline risk.